Yo, so welcome back to my YouTube channel. I still remember my humble self, MC Bernardino. This is Canada Reality, where I dish out content for those that are already in Canada and those that are aspiring to migrate into Canada. Is this your first time on this YouTube channel? Please do me the honor, hit on the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so that anytime I drop a video, you'll always be among the first to get it. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit on the likes button, share this video because it helps the algorithm and it helps YouTube to share this video with other people. Let's kickstart. All right, so just like we already know that Immigration Minister Sean Fraser already said that the plan of Canada Immigration, Canada government for the next 3 years from 2023 up until 2025 is to bring in 1.3 million immigrants into Canada. Just this year, 2023 alone, the plan is to bring in 465,000 Canadians into Canada. They were able to fulfill their dream last year, and hopefully they will be able to fulfill their dream this year. So do you want to be among these immigrants that will be landing in Canada? Here are the 5 ways which I feel were the best way for you to explore if you plan to come into Canada this year, 2023. The first way that I always tell people is that if you feel, there's no age in learning. If you want to learn, why not apply for study visa? So the first one is to apply to come and study in Canada. That is one of the easiest and the fastest way to come into Canada. If you're so lucky your visa is approved, within 4 to 6 months, you can find yourself in Canada, and not yourself alone. If you have family, everybody can eventually be in Canada within 1 year. So study will be my first way for you to come into Canada. And don't forget that if you want to come to Canada and study, you need to start applying to school first. Once you get your study, your school admission letter, then you can now proceed to apply for visa. So if you want to learn more about this, so I'll be dissecting each pathways that you can use to come into Canada in subsequent videos. But the first one is to come in through study. Now, next on my list, number 2, on the fastest, easiest way that I feel you should explore if you plan to come into Canada in the year 2023 will be to come in through express entry. I know some of you might want to say that, oh, express entry is too long. We've been in the poll. Canada government is not even doing draws and the rest of it like that. But that still proves to be one of the best avenues for you to come into Canada with your family and everybody lands in Canada. I know it has been tough in the last few months, in the last few years, no thanks to COVID, but I think things are picking up now, and that's an avenue that I want you to actually look at if you plan to come into Canada this year. Don't forget that coming through the express entry, there are 3 pathways. Either you can come through the Federal Skilled Worker, that's FSW, FST, Federal Skilled Trade, or Canadian Experience Class, solely for those that are studied and are already in Canada. So these are the avenues that you should be looking at in the year 2023. And in order for you to actually explore this path, you need to get your IELTS or your English test, whichever one you choose. You need to get your evaluation of result done if you have not studied in Canada. And some of these I'll be dissecting in subsequent videos. Or now you can actually explore the express entry as a venue for you to come into Canada. And don't forget that there's also proof of fund that you need to also have too, and you need to take cognizance of, which I'll be dissecting in subsequent video. And that proves to be the second way for you to migrate into Canada in the year 2023. All right, next on my list, which is number 3, on the best way, easiest way that I feel you should be looking at if your plan is to come into Canada in the year 2023 will be through provincial nominee. Provincial nominee, provincial nominee, provincial nominee. I know in as much as people are saying that express entry has been delayed, that they are not doing any draws, the scores are so high. But provincial nominee, on the other hand, is a little bit faster as compared to express entry. Virtually all the 10 provinces and the 3 territories that we have in Canada do provincial, they do draws virtually every 2 weeks, or some instances 1 month. So that is an avenue that you want to explore. All the provinces, Saskatchewan, Alberta, Ontario, British Columbia, the territories, all of them virtually they do draws. So that's an avenue that you can actually look at. So in terms of which one will be the best one for you to actually explore, it depends on your situation. But for me, I always suggest Saskatchewan, suggest Prince Edward Island, I suggest Manitoba, I suggest Alberta. These are provinces that are less competitive. Newfoundland is also not left out. These are provinces and also the territories. They are not competitive as BC, as Manitoba, as Ontario. So you might want to look at those options in the year 2023 if your aspiration is to come into Canada in the year 2023. Next on my list, which happens to be number 4, will be work visa. I know this is what you guys want to hear. Work visa. So many people ask me this question. I don't have the money to come and study in Canada. How can I get a work visa to come into Canada? So the next on my list that I feel you should be looking at is the work visa. LMIA work visa. So if I'm just to put it straight to you, LMIA work visa. So this is not so straightforward. I mean, getting a work visa from outside Canada is a little bit tough because it's not so easy, because in the first place, Canada government is trying to protect the interest of the people that are already in Canada. So in order for any organization, any firm to bring in expatriates to come into Canada to come and work, then that person needs to be providing the services that people in Canada cannot provide. So that is why the LMIA is there. So there's a process that the company that is sponsoring you to come into Canada needs to go through. I've done a video on the LMIA work visa. If so, you might want to check my playlist so that you can actually dissect how you can actually go about it. So let me just give you a summary. It's all about you applying to an organization here, and if they do the interview for you, they feel they want you, then this organization needs to show Canada government that there's nobody in Canada that can actually perform that role. They've done interviews, they've done everything, they could not find anybody, and that's why they felt that you are the one that they want to bring in from whichever country you are coming from to come and fill that position. And also, this company also needs to pay money to the certain department of Canada government in order for them to sponsor you. It's a little bit not so easy, but it is doable. Next on my list, which happens to be the fifth way that I feel in the year 2023, if your goal is to come into Canada, that should be a way you should be looking at, and that is business investors route. So what do I mean by a business investors route? Are you outside Canada and you have a very big business and you feel that you want to come and open an extension of that business, you want to come and introduce into the Canada government, this could be another pathway for you to come into Canada. So what you need to do is that, just in a summary, is you come with your business. It's a 5 years investors plan, and you have to submit some documents to the federal government of Canada, and also by extension, some of these provinces also and territories, they are also welcoming immigrants that wants to come and establish business in their provinces, in their territory. If you are successful with this application process, you, your spouse, your kids can eventually migrate into Canada through this business investors plan. It is a little bit on the high side in terms of finance, but on the other side too, you set up your business in Canada, you can also make profits in Canada, and that is why it's another avenue for you to look at. If you want to read more about this, I'll be linking in the video description the website where you can actually read more about the investors business plan, immigration route, in the video description for you to learn more. All right, viewers, before I go into the subsequent ones, have you subscribed to this YouTube channel? If you haven't, please take time out, subscribe to this YouTube channel, hit on the likes button. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comment section. I will do justice to your question. By liking this video, you are helping YouTube to promote our videos so that others can also see this video. So now let's talk about other routes through you can come into Canada, apart from the 5 ones that I've just mentioned. Another one could be coming through the Atlantic Pilot Program. That's for provinces that are in the Atlantic region, the Albertas, Saskatchewan, Newfoundland, those provinces that are in the Atlantic region. These provinces, they are the ones that offer the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. So you might want to read more about it, because already in my previous videos, I've done a video on the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. Next one that I want to tell you is the RNIP, Rural Northern Immigration Pilot Program. So RNIP, it's all about some communities. I know as of the last time I checked, 11 communities. I don't know if there are more than 11 communities now. So these communities, they are trying to bring in immigrants from outside Canada to come into that community. This Rural Northern and Immigration Pilot Program was introduced just because it was discovered by Canada government that when people come into Canada, most of them, they go to the cities. So some of these rural communities, they're actually suffering because immigrants do not come into those places. And that's why some of these communities, they've decided to say, okay, we want to welcome immigrants from outside Canada to come and settle in our community. And eventually, when you go there, you settle there. By the time you become a permanent resident, you get your citizenship, you can actually live there and go and live wherever you want to live. So I've done a video on this in the past. You might also want to check my playlist to learn more about the RNIP. VIP. Another route that you might be looking at if you're planning to come into Canada is to come in on a visit. Coming in on a visit is more like temporary, right? You're not coming in on a permanent base, because you are supposed, so if you have given a visa, you are expected to be in Canada just for 6 months. After 6 months, you need to exit Canada. If you plan to come again, you can come subsequently if you have a visa, but you can only stay in Canada on a visit for 6 months. So that is the visitors route. Another route through which some people are exploring is the refugee and asylum pathway. So Canada welcomes refugees that are seeking asylum in Canada. If probably wherever you're coming from, you're facing some problems, some issues, agitation, your life is endangered, things like this. If you can present your case very well through a reputable lawyer, Canada government grants asylums to anybody from any country that his or her life is endangered. Canada government welcome people like that. So you might want to read more about that. I think I've done a video also. You might want to check my playlist on how you can actually explore this refugee and asylum claimant pathway. All right, last but not the least will be the family class sponsorship. So family class sponsorship is just saying that you're already in Canada and your spouse is outside Canada, your kids under 22, they are outside Canada, your parents are outside Canada, you want to sponsor them to come into Canada, you should be looking at the family class sponsorship route, parent-grandparent sponsorship route. Through this avenue, you can actually bring in your spouse, bring in your kids that are still below the age of 22, I guess, and also your parents. Through the parent and grandparent sponsorship, you can bring them into Canada and they can join you so that you can live together as one family in Canada. If you want to read more about this, I will direct you to Canada Immigration website, where you can see for yourself how you can actually go about this route. Okay, viewers, I want to believe that you've actually enjoyed the video that I brought for you today on the 5 easiest and most effective way for you to migrate into Canada if your plan is to come into Canada in the year 2023. Don't forget I said that each pathway that I've just mentioned, I'll be further dissecting each pathway in subsequent video. I'll pick one of them and I'll dissect how you can actually explore each one of them to come into Canada in the year 2023. Don't forget I said that in the year 2023, the aim of Canada government is to welcome 465 immigrants into Canada in this year alone. And in the next year, the plan is to bring in 1.2 million immigrants into Canada. So you can actually be one of them. All you have to do is you have to be spontaneous and you have to start asking now. January just started. We're still in January. 2023 rather just started. We're still in January. So we still got 11 months to go. So you can actually start planning. Look at the best route that actually fits you, fits your profile, fits your family profile, and start applying. If you have any question that you need clarification on, please feel free to drop it in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit on the likes button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and share this video with whoever you feel will benefit from it. Till I come back to you again on this YouTube channel, I still remember my humble self, MC Bernardino. See you in my next video. Peace out. One love.